break out the brooms, get the fire extinguishers, because, man, the Carolina Hurricanes are on fire, and they did put out the fire in Alberta in an amazing sweep on Thursday night.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I am your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I also do a column on the Chicago Wolves called Wolves Weekly. I am the co-host of the Searchcast, and along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Now, before we jump into all the good stuff that's going to happen on this episode, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And I got a fun show for you today, guys, as we get to recap the Hurricanes' 4-2 win over the Calgary Flames in Alberta to complete the Alberta sweep. But more importantly, I have a special guest with me, long time coming, good friend of the show. Of course, he's my boss on the other podcast network I am with, which is the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm excited to have Kyle Manifold on the show. He's also got his own podcast as well called Flamescast. Kyle, how are you doing? And thank you for jumping on and talking to me right after the Hurricanes and Canes game, the Canes-Flames game on a Thursday night.
Honestly doing great. The loss is like secondary at this point. My eyes are probably primary.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we are taping this at midnight, so technically we are starting this on Friday morning, just because the game just ended. Luckily for me, it worked out to where I'm off on Friday, because if you asked me to do this on Tuesday, probably not, because man, it's a little late, especially for us East Coasters who have to watch games from the West Coast. And I'm telling you right now, next week with a Tuesday, was it Monday or Tuesday against Vancouver at 10 p.m. No, I'm not. That's
have fun with that.
Yeah, have fun with that one, bud. But Kyle, yeah, man, we're jumping into the recap. Hurricanes came in. They came back and beat Edmonton on Tuesday. Huge comeback win, coming down from 2-0. We all know Shane Gostisbehere scored, Martin Necas with the tying goal, and then Sebastian Aho getting his 56th career game-winning goal, one behind Ron Francis for all time. Coming into Calgary, I will say there is a little bit of a history between my other show and you, because we did a live stream last year of the Hurricanes when they went to Calgary, and didn't end so well. The Flames did come in a comeback, but this time the Hurricanes stomped out the Flame, extinguished you guys, and you put out the fire.
Okay. All right. Now keep it going. Let's rally off 10 more of those.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, shot total wise, you can say it didn't really look as close. I mean, it was 43-32 in shots, and overall, I mean, you guys really came on strong, especially in the third. Both teams had 11 shots, 14-7 in the first, 18-14 in the second. So despite the shot total not being so far apart, would you say that it's kind of a misnomer from how the game actually went overall compared to what the shot totals and the stats actually say on the score sheet?
I mean, going into it tonight, I just thought that I'm not surprised that this was the Carolina team that I was expecting. It's just, I kind of had a feeling that this was the way it was going to go. Just smothered us from the beginning. It didn't feel like it was we weren't even on the same planet with you guys the whole night. The shot total, you say that, and then coming on strong in the third and all that, but just overall, the first two, I just thought the entire game that they were always one step behind them. And and I kind of alluded to this just on the Flames side real quick, in terms of being disciplined with penalties on Tuesday night. That didn't come into play tonight at all. You had Lombard take a dumb penalty early on in the game, which led to a goal for you guys. And, just overall, I thought the Hurricanes just, they just smothered us tonight. And, it's kind of what they do. And, I thought they executed their game plan beautifully tonight. And no, there's not much else to really go about it. I thought they were sensational.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot better of a jump from the Hurricanes compared to against the Edmonton Oilers. I could say, you mean Connor McDavid going coast to coast. That's just vintage McDavid. It is what it is. But then, like you said, the Hurricanes had 3 power plays all night. They did go 1 for 3, so they are on a 4-game power play goal run right now, 33.3%. And I said this in the preview that I did for the game. The Hurricanes have to limit their penalties. I said you got to have 2 or less. Luckily, they only took 2. So they finally listened to me after 3 times of saying, stop taking so many penalties. Only gave up, only got 2 penalties. One of them was a delay of game puck over the glass. So technically 1 if you really want to look at it. But yeah, that Ryan Lomberg unnecessary, open ice hit on Jackson Blake made no sense. Because you look at it, you're like, why is he trying to hit him high near
Makes no sense.
In open ice with the puck was even near him. That made no sense. And of course, it doesn't take very long for Seth Jarvis in the power play to put it 12 seconds into the power play, makes it 1-0. For you, it has to sting though, like how you take a penalty like that, and then it doesn't take very long, and the Hurricanes are up already 1-0. And of course, it's Seth Jarvis for his 2nd of the season. Then Sebastian Aho and Martin Necas both getting their 5th assist of the year as well.
Yeah. And it was pretty passing too tonight from Carolina's standpoint. I thought I thought just like that to me, like the difference is just night and day when I just see it from these 2 teams, and like the expectations that I kind of foresaw, and not seeing this kind of start with Calgary, obviously, but just like you just see the difference like that, like again, coming from our side a little bit here,
right?
It's Hurricanes show here, but like
you
see the difference though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the Flames perspective to Carolina's, in the sense that it's the crisp passes one-on-one, knowing when to shoot, knowing when guys should be open, knowing where they need to be on the ice in order to execute these plays. And it's like they know when to pull the trigger, right? On those specific plays that we saw, especially on the power play. They made it feel like it was a 5-on-3, like on the first power play of the night. That's the difference. And it's such a high caliber structured offense. And that's just something that I'm not seeing from our Flames team even earlier on here. And the power play just being abysmal so far from this team to start the season, despite what the record says. These last few games has just been not great for this team. And it really showed tonight for Carolina in terms of their creative plays and their creative passing.
Yeah, for the fact, I gave you guys a lot of credit too for the fact we were 5-0-1 coming into the game, 11 out of 12. You can't ask for a better hot start to the season than that. And first regulation loss. Not everyone can go perfect and as 0 in the loss column, but yeah, just for the fact of how quick it was. And you're looking at a power play unit for the top group that's Jarvis, Aho, Necas, Svechnikov, and Gostisbehere.
Yeah,
that's a tough unit to stop. And then going throughout the rest of the game too, Jack Roslovic gets his 3rd of the season, 41 seconds into the 2nd period. Martin Necas not long after for his 3rd of the season. Just very Kotkaniemi getting his 5th assist of the year. You got to love to see it from KK. And Gostisbehere, 2nd assist. So you're talking within the first 2 minutes of the 2nd period. It's just boom, boom right away. Carolina's up 3-0. At that point, you're kind of like, oh boy. It's for the Hurricanes, you're loving it because you're looking at this game going, okay, we're up 3-0 up against a Flames team who's on a hot start, both goalies. I give credit to Vladar, man. What more can this guy do?
It should have been a track meet tonight, is what it should have been. Because if it wasn't for Vladar and some key saves, like the one knob one that he had in the 3rd,
or almost tore his hammy too on the other save that he had.
I thought he tore his hamstring when he was down for a minute, but this game should have been a track meet. This had the writing on the wall already.
Yeah, it was like you love to take a start if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan because you really wanted to see it because after the slow start against Edmonton, how your game went in St. Louis, okay, you're building momentum up and stuff like that too. Like I said, yeah, Calgary did. It was one of those things where you think, okay, this might be a tough game because, like I said, Calgary's really good on paper. Really good. You guys have been winning games. Yes, it was a shootout one against Pittsburgh. But 5-0-1 is 5-0-1. It doesn't. They don't ask you how. They just ask you how many and how many. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, it's it wasn't. Not every team can have a perfect game, or some games you're going to have to throw up a stinker every once in a while. But like you said, Carolina's not a slouch team to look at. I know there's been a lot of transit. I mean, both of our teams have gone through a lot of transitions in the offseason. So, I mean, where you guys are at and where we're at, it's still not bad, all things considered, too. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, coming out of the gate to start the second, you get 2 goals back to back super quick. That's kind of like for you, like, I mean, I can only imagine how deflating that had to be. And even like you could hear how silent Saladin was after the Nietzsche's goal. How quick those 2 goals were.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of saw it coming a little bit just because the way that they were just playing on their heels a little bit. And, I thought the big thing for whole thing tonight in terms of like you guys just smothering the play of the entire game, in my opinion, you're the one who's controlling the pace. You're controlling the pace and you're controlling what you're dictating on the ice. And that's what I thought they want to be the ones in control tonight. And they absolutely were. And, you're going to make that's the thing, like with these type of good teams in the league outside, like Carolina and some of these higher playoff teams, the Jets being undefeated, all that stuff. You can't make mistakes and you can't give them those type of chances because they're going to kill you every single time. And that's what good teams do. And that's exactly what happened tonight.
Yeah, I will give you credit though. I do have you guys beating the Jets on Saturday for their whole. If they
makes one of us.
If they don't beat the Kraken, I do have you guys predicting to beat the Jets if they are still undefeated. but guys, stick around because we have a lot more to talk about in terms of our recap, and we will also do our standout players from the game as well. I mean, there are some Flames guys I do have to shout out as well because they did pretty well for the most part. So make sure to stick around as we'll do that here in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money on sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars on the award winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long with PrizePicks. PrizePicks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. For me, I can go in and say, do I think Justin Jefferson could get more than 83.5 yards? Or do I think Saquon Barkley might run for less than 67.5? Well, you can do that with PrizePicks. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, that is LOCKEDONNHL when you download the app to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, where can you do this? Well, you can do this at PrizePicks, where you can run your game. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. It's like the end of segment 1. We still got a little bit more recapping to do because there was just so much in this game. And you look at, Carolina gets up early with the power play goal from Seth Jarvis. 4 power play goals and 4 power play goals in 4 straight games. Unfortunately, Gostisbehere didn't go 5 for 5 in terms of 5 goals in 5 games. You wish you would have seen it, but all good things must come to an end eventually, unfortunately. But former Carolina Hurricane Jake Bean scores his first of the season at 13:01 with Connor Zary and the captain and Backlund getting the assists. And I will say it was a pretty nice shot from Jake Bean. I will give him credit. That was a very nice. I don't know how Pierre Kachaka could save this one. This was top cheddar, opposite side. I mean, what more can you do? And like I said, congrats to former Hurricane Jake Bean of getting his first of the season in good fashion, honestly.
Good things happen when you throw the puck at the net sometimes, and that was my look at it. But yeah. I mean, it was good for him, and glad to see he's on the board now.
Yeah, for sure. And so you can't go wrong with Zary getting his 4th, Backlund for his 3rd, and you're going into the second intermission. You're down 3-1. It's not, you're not completely out of it. You're still kind of somewhat in it. Anything can happen. It's 2 goals, which is the most dangerous. We all know is the most dangerous lead in hockey. And how are you feeling going into the second intermission? That you finally get the one on the board, you finally figure out Kochetkov. Did you feel like that there could have been something in the third period to feel kind of good about going into the final frame? Only down by 2?
Yeah, you can, but again, I just go back to I think it's a different story. Like I would have a little bit more faith Tuesday night, going against Pittsburgh, going up against maybe Nedeljkovic with that unit compared to what Carolina was showing tonight, right? So, I mean, it felt like a lot of the times like this team's just playing from behind now and eventually it's just going to catch up with you. And I didn't really have that much confidence going to the third in terms of just the fact that how many times are you going to expect to kind of do this throughout the season, right? This isn't all the way back to 2014, 2015 when this is just what they were doing all season long, just third period comebacks left, right, and center. So yeah, I mean, it just didn't give me a lot of confidence. Gave me confidence when they, finally go in and score, which you might be bringing up. But yeah, I didn't have much going into it, but things can change, and it kind of did a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, going into the third period, you're trucking along. You're halfway through the period. It's like, okay, can Calgary figure something out? And they do. Jonathan Huberdeau gets his 4th of the season. Kirkland gets his 3rd assist, and Rasmus Anderson gets his 6th. And we were doing a live stream for the Hockey Podcast Network. It was, me, Kyle, of course, my other co-hosts on the Surgecast. They do live streams over there all season long. This was ours tonight just because of the fact that, we've done it with Kyle before, so we're doing a live stream. The goal happens, and it was a weird how it kind of happened where it's like you see the puck go on net, it bounces off a couple bodies, and then just the puck just landed right at Huberdeau, and he was just able to put the puck in the net because you had Huberdeau right there. You had, I don't remember who the other Flame was like right in front of Kachekov.
I think it was Kirkland. I think it was Kirkland there.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where the puck falls to him. Piotr he sees the puck, but he's got like a Flames guy right in front of him. Huberdeau's got the puck on his stick, and it's like, why didn't he have a reaction? And for me, it's like, I don't know how much of a reaction you can have when you see the puck is on the ground. You're kind of like, oh, because you finally track where it's at, but it's already right there on his stick, and then he just shoots it in. I mean, even if you had a little twitch, I don't know how, like, the human reflexes is not going to out swim a shot from that close with the net so wide open. Right. So honestly, I would say all like the 2 goals that Piotr gave up, I really can't put any blame on him because you can't stop Jake Bean from opposite side, far side of the net. You can't really touch that from the angle it was in. And then for this one too, for Huberdeau, what more can you do when you get 2 Flames guys right in front of you and there's no Canes on that side of the net and the puck's right there and it's like instant shot? Like, what can you really do there? I mean, all credit to Huberdeau, right place, right time, man. But
yeah, I don't recall who it was on defense there on the left side at the time, but I think he pushed up a bit too far, like towards the point, and he just simply left those 2 guys just sitting in front for any sort of juicy rebound. And you can't do it.
Yeah, and Burns was on the other side too. He was almost on the right side, almost that right corner. So it's like
you got to mark your man up. It's like you can't let that happen with 2 guys in front. You got to be able to protect your goalie there, and you just kind of let him be.
Yeah. But like I said, you got to give Huberdeau credit, man. That was a nice goal. Right place, right time. You had Kirkland right there, too. And like I said, nothing Piotr could do. And that's when you start getting it's now 1-goal game.
Here we go again.
It's like it's not 3-0. It's 3-2. You're kind of like, okay, that's where you start like, okay, just shut it down.
Yeah.
Play your structure deep. I mean, no team is going to go perfect on their defensive structure. Of course, it's a defensive breakdown. It is what it is. I mean, you really can't be upset with Piotr. I think both goals, nothing Piotr can do. That was definitely a breakdown in the defense because, like you said, Kyle, you just don't leave 2 guys open on your one side of the net to get a rebound like that. And it's like, well, he could have moved or made an attempt. I don't know what goalie on the face of the earth is going to make that attempt that quick because you think about it, the puck hit Huberdeau's stick. How long do you think it was on it for? 5 seconds, if that.
That's a bit of a stretch, but yes.
Yeah, I would say if that. So I mean, it's like no one's that fast to flash the leather unless you're kind of like, okay, guys on the other side, I'm just going to start, throwing my arm up.
Yeah.
Even then, that's still a slim to none chance to stop it.
Do your job, man. Do your job.
Yep. And then the Hurricanes empty net for the Flames. Did have some other chances, but Pierre Kachekov with the absolute great pass on the rim, the puck around. Got to Eric Robinson, and Robinson empty nets it for his first goal as a Carolina Hurricane. Seals it 4-2. You love to see the Hurricanes do get their win. I know, Kyle, your Calgary Flames get their first regulation loss of the season. But, I mean, every team's going to get one eventually. It's just it is what it is. But, I mean, hey, you guys points in your first 6 games, can't be too upset about that. But the Hurricanes
Nobody predicted it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, no one's really predicting that. But yeah, the Hurricanes win. That's back. That's 3 wins on the road trip. You beat Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, lose to St. Louis in a tight one. Come back, win against Edmonton, and now you beat Calgary and you swept Alberta. So you'll take that. And I will say, I did my other show, we did predictions for the road trip. I did predict Edmonton and Calgary were both going to be wins. So happy about that. But I will say, going into this game, I even said on the preview too, like, this is going to be a tough game because when you look at how, yes, I know for you, it's like the games haven't really been your record doesn't really fully reflect of how the team was playing. But even then, it's like you don't really take a team who's maybe somewhat struggling but still getting wins, a team you don't really want to look over. And I think overall, I mean, I would say it was a tough game. If it was like that the whole game, I think it'd been like, okay, we might have a problem here, but I don't know.
It was bound to happen. Like, it was just bound to happen at some point. We were all kind of waiting for it, and it just showed its true colors tonight. So I just kind of hope, like, just going forward, like, there's just things to clean up. You got to be more disciplined. They didn't learn their lesson, I guess, from the other night. So reinforce that, I guess. But yeah, I know for Carolina, I mean, it's a solid win on the road tonight. Not necessarily the toughest environment in the world, but still, it's a road trip. It's out west, right? It's never, it's never supposed to be easy, right? Doesn't matter what the caliber of the opponent is. It's still a long road trip for these guys. And no, it was just overall they played well. They deserved every bit of it tonight. They smothered them like crazy. And even like my last point for this was that even when Calgary made it a 1-goal game, Carolina didn't give them a look at all the way until the empty netter. So
yeah, it was definitely tough. Yeah, and you're talking about 5,000 miles, 6 stops. I mean, and then you get you get back to back, then you get 2 days off, then it's every other day for the rest of the trip. I mean, yeah, that's definitely tough for sure. But So, Kyle, for standout players, who would you say was kind of? We'll go one each, one Hurricane, one Flame. Who are your standouts tonight in the game?
Yeah, I thought. I mean, I could go just from the Flames side. I think Vladar is the only one I can really think of here, just because he made some key saves in terms of it could have been a track meet tonight, should have been a track meet, but yeah, I thought he made some key saves when he needed to. Nobody on that offense really interested me. I thought the defense just kind of let him hang there dry a little bit and let Carolina set up too many plays tonight. So I thought he stood out for Calgary. And yeah, on the other side, I think Bailey was just mentioning him the entire game. The rookie there, Jackson Blake, I think his name was.
Oh, yeah, Jackson Blake, yeah.
She just kept repeating his name tonight. And I mean, he was just, he did well for a rookie. I thought he was battling hard against the boards. And for being lower in the lineup, I assume in the top 12 there.
Fourth line. He's a fourth line.
He's a fourth liner. His fourth line, I think, won this game tonight for him. And, I thought he played well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, 2 goals already on the season, fourth line rookie. It's doing pretty well for himself, kind of hanging in there, where he's at. Of course, Hobie Baker finalist last year, 60 points in North Dakota. Can't stick your nose up at that when you get a Hobie Baker guy coming right in, breaks out the lineup, gets a couple goals early. And, he's not putting point. For me, it's always, and Rod Burnhamore said this a lot. If you're doing your job, even if you're on the score sheet, as long as you're doing your job to help the team win, that's all that really matters. Yeah. And yeah, he wasn't on the score sheet tonight, but he was doing his job. He kept the other team off the board when he was on the ice. So you really can't go wrong with that. So for me, my Flame standout, I kind of agree with you. Vladar he was Darth Vladar for the most part, outside of the 3 goals. He gave up 3 goals. What can you do? They were all tough goals. I mean, like, it's the same thing for Pierre Kachekov, where it's like, what can you do? Same thing for Vladar. Like, those are really tough to try to hold and stuff like that. So, gotta give Vladar a lot of credit. For me, I will have to say he did get an assist tonight, but he was someone that I really took notice of in this game. And that was just Barry Kokoniemi. That dude was just in everyone's face. He was board battling like crazy, winning a lot of face-offs. I mean, he even was poking a couple Flames guys in front of the net. He's just smiling. Like, the Flames guys are getting upset. He's just kind of like, all right, whatever. Yep. Like, you could tell like there's an ease to him right now. Like, he knew last year was a struggle for him. But you're talking 6 games in, got 5 points, all assists. But hey, man, points are points. And I'm glad that he's not getting those tertiary assists where it's like, okay, if there was a stat for a third assist, he would have had like 1 billion last year.
Sure, yeah.
But now it's like, okay, he's getting his dues worked out to where the efforts are getting shown. And I think from where he is right now, it's like I said, 5 assists, board bound like crazy. Like he's definitely becoming that Jordan Staal 2.0 that I always think that he can be, because he's a good defensive forward. So I definitely have to give Jesperi Kotkaniemi a lot of credit. He really put his body on the line tonight, and definitely did not let the Flames get in his head or get anywhere near that too. So, but yeah, definitely got to give a big shout out to Kotkaniemi. All right, guys. So we got our standouts. We did kind of the recap. Now we're going to do our takeaways. What are kind of like the things we kind of noticed throughout the game, and what kind of storylines we kind of saw coming out of this one. So stick around as we'll cover that here in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you can place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Where can you do that? Well, you can do that at FanDuel.com. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. As I said at the end of segment 2, we're going to do some of our takeaways to see what we kind of saw that stood out to us throughout the game, and what kind of storylines we could be seeing going into the Saturday matchups for our teams, where the Carolina Hurricanes are going to be playing the Seattle Kraken, and Kyle's Calgary Flames are going to be facing the Winnipeg Jets, who I don't know if they won tonight yet. So as of right now, while we're recording,
Couldn't tell you.
yeah, we don't know what the score is of that Winnipeg Jets game, but as of right now, still undefeated. If it changed by the time this drops, well, there you go. But Kyle, what would you say is kind of like the takeaway for you for both sides, if you had to choose a couple?
Yeah, for Carolina, I thought their identity kind of showed itself tonight. Just who they were, big body defensemen, not letting anything really get by them. I thought Kochetkov just, he stood out as well too, just being in the crease, and overall, he was just he seemed locked in, Yeah, I just thought it was just going into tonight. It was who I expected from them. It's what we got from them, and as an outsider here. That's something that I guess for you guys, you want to expect from this team, day in and day out. Like, this is just who they should be. This is their identity, and they're just smothering teams. And it didn't shock me tonight at all that this is kind of the way that it went. So yeah, I think for takeaway, I mean, it's a good road win too. I mean, as well, like you go from back to back, like playing Edmonton the night before, whatever, on Tuesday night. I thought they played sensational tonight. I thought they were really good, just like how I thought they would. And then from Calgary's standpoint, just the same that I've seen these last 2 games really from them. Just nothing really impressive offensively for me. Not being disciplined in terms of taking, they were taking stupid penalties again for the second time in a row, and they just get eaten alive now by better teams that are coming in and taking advantage of those dumb penalties and, making the most of the opportunity. And, overall, it was just not really generating enough chances and just finding ways to, get set up in the offensive zone tonight. I thought they were struggling with that, and they were lucky that Vladar was there to save their skins for most of the game.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think going into this, I was previewing the game going in for Thursday's show, and I noticed a stat that was kind of like, ooh, this might be a big issue for you guys, and it definitely was. It's the face-off category. I know you guys have been really struggling so far this season on the face-off percentage, and in this game, 58.9% for the Hurricanes to the Flames 41.1%. I mean,
we were at 38% on Tuesday.
That's what I'm saying. I looked at them like, man, that's kind of a struggle, especially like, I know it's not like, okay, it's face off, it's kind of whatever, but it's kind of a big deal when you're trying to set up zone, try to keep the puck in your zone, or maybe you're getting a chance to, if you're in the offense, be able to find a way to set your offense up, and you're going 41%. I mean, that's still tough to try to be able to set any type of tone when you're basically on the losing end a lot. I mean, Jesperi Kotkaniemi's been really high on the face-off percentage. I mean, even Jordan Staal is like the dude when it comes to stuff like that. So actually, I do want to check to see where, in terms of where we're looking at the face-off percentage. So in terms for the Carolina Hurricanes, and oh boy. So 3 guys, Carey, Blake, and Roslovic all got 100%. Jordan Stahl, 64.7. Aho, 60.9. Jack Drury, 55.6. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, 52.9. That's still pretty solid. And then Martin Nietzsche, who's not really a center, did get 50%.
So,
in terms of the Flames, Backlund had 52. Kadri, 47.6. Kevin Rooney, 33.3. And then Kirkland at 23.5. When you have one guy in the 50s and it's a low, 52% is 52%. He's still won more than half his battles, but 47 then 33 at 23. That's definitely kind of tough.
We look at the sign right there.
Yeah, because when you look at the Hurricanes, I mean, you have got basically, I think every guy finished either 50% or better, and that's just one of those things where that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing to come back from, and it's just, I know it's not ideal, but I think that's definitely something that really stood out for me. Is just the fact that you look at the face-off percentage, and that's tough. I mean, you guys are throwing a lot of hits too, 31 to 17. Like,
we might lose, but we're gonna beat the crap out of you if we have to.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not afraid to throw the bodies, but yeah, that's why I say, like, looking at the face-off percentage for the preview, I'm like, that's kind of low, especially for where the team is at. Then you look at this game and you see the stat afterwards, you're like, yeah, I can kind of see this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it tells you where you're kind of like your center depth is right now, where it's like,
for sure.
Yeah. In terms of the Hurricanes, I mean, yeah, I another thing where I'm agreeing with you is the fact that you look at you were hoping to see a structure of what the team needed to be. You did play well against Tampa. You do come back and beat New Jersey in a good fashion. You absolutely dominate Pittsburgh. And I think you're definitely finding your identity, and I think you're kind of finding a more consistent basis where, yeah, the Blues game didn't really go your way. Edmonton didn't really go your way for the most part. It got really intense, but I still think at the same time that you're seeing the Hurricanes finding their actual rhythm and what they need to be. And that, in a game like tonight where you're going against a team who, yes, 5-0-1, like, I'm still going to give the Flames a lot of credit for go 5-0-1. Definitely not going to disrespect a record like that. Now 5-1-1, but still, though, you're still talking about a team that's 7 games in, 11 out of 14. I want to say, yeah, 14. That's still pretty solid overall, especially in the Pacific Division. That's really tough with, Vegas and Vancouver and all of them. But, just to go into Calgary, kind of almost force your will and make it work. Yeah, you made it close. Unfortunately, it's a little don't want to make it close. But overall, though, I mean, you go in, kind of play your game, and I think it's kind of what stood out in terms of the fact that now it's just you're continuously just building on. I know they always say, well, momentum doesn't carry from game to game, but it's like, yeah, but I think confidence builds from game to game, because as long as you can keep building your confidence of like, okay, we're playing our game, we're getting the wins, we're getting what we need. I still think that carries over to the next game. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, last game was last game, momentum was then, but like I said, I mean, I could be wrong here, Kyle, but I think confidence goes a long way from game to game. I think that's the thing that can carry as the season goes along.
It's not just about the wins, though, too, right? Like, you just have to make sure that your players are, doing their jobs. Like, you take the example of that second goal that Calgary scored tonight, right, where the man was just off his puck. Like, that's not going to carry a little bit. That's just something to learn off of and be like, yo, you got 2 guys sitting there in front of the net and you're however many feet out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in terms of that, it's not just about the wins sometimes. It's just about making sure that guys know their roles and you're still it's just a learning process as the season goes. And as people have put it before, man, sometimes if you're a really good team and it's an 82 game preseason regular season schedule for you, right? And then the playoffs are when the real shindig happens. So a lot of it is just kind of learning for these guys. And when you're on a really good team, you can afford that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's all about the details, man. They say the devil's in the details, and that's what you really got to worry about too. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. But Kyle, before we let you go, how are you feeling going into Saturday's game against the Winnipeg Jets? I know you guys just lost. We don't know where the Jets are as of right now of recording at 12:37 in the morning on a Friday. But how do you feel going into the Jets game for your Calgary Flames?
Yeah, I mean, you hope that Husky can just drill into these guys that, you have to stop taking these silly penalties. You have to be just disciplined. You have to make sure you got to play. We have to go back to our style of game a little bit, and it's still grinding guys down a little bit. And, I want to see the quality and quantity of these chances, and scoring chances going into Saturday. Seems like the goals have been kind of dwindling off a little bit here from guys that are supposed to be those type of goal scorers that we want to see this year. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, we do play good sometimes against the Jets. It's just, it's another rival here, and anything can kind of happen in those games. Doesn't really matter really what kind of record you have early on in the season. It doesn't really phase you. So, yeah, I mean, I think they should be, they should have a better game.
Yeah, like I said, I'm predicting you guys to win. If the Jets still stay undefeated, I think you guys are going to snap their unbeaten streak. In terms for me for the Carolina Hurricanes going to Seattle, we're not doing a full preview of that because it's on a Saturday, stuff like that. This is our Friday 5th episode of the week type deal. I think the Hurricanes are going to do it. The Kraken aren't really playing their best hockey right now. Their center depth is really kind of staggering them really hard. Like not a lot of these guys are like, I think it's like the most goals is like 3 for their center core. So I definitely think if you're looking at the Hurricanes, you take what you did against Calgary, you take what you did against Edmonton, build off that third period in overtime, take the 60 minutes that you did, maybe a couple minutes here and there kind of got shaved off with, a sloppy play, but you take this whole game from against Calgary, you take it into Seattle, and you have a chance to go for 3 straight wins. There's 8 points. I predicted 10. So maybe you're not going to get against Vancouver, but if you take 8 or 9, not going to be upset about that. But either way, I think this is where you go into Seattle. You carry the momentum, whatever momentum there is, but you take the confidence from what you did. And like what you said, Kyle, go to the details, find out what you need to clean up, but learn that, hey, we did all the right things that it was necessary. The power play still clicking. The penalty kill is now 14 for 15 in the last 4 games. I think that's another huge takeaway for the fact of just how the PK has been absolutely on it right now. I think that's I think 93.3%, I think, is what it's at right now. So, I mean, hey, you'll take that any day of the week for sure. Totally. Especially when you are on a 6-game road trip. Going on the road, shutting the door, and only let 1 power play go on. Of course, it's Connor McDavid. I mean, that's kind of a given at this point. But overall, can't complain about that.
Not at all.
But Kyle, thank you so much for jumping on with me right for the Hurricanes Flames game. I know it's late for both of us, but I do appreciate you taking the time on because I wanted to get you on for a while, and I'm like, what, it's perfect timing. Canes Flames at the right time. Before I let you go, though, where can people find you, and of course, where can they find the network that you help run, and along with your podcast that you do covering your Calgary Flames?
Yeah, so Zach's got it there. If you want to message me and ask questions about the network, been running THPN for the Hockey Pod Network for the last 2 years. Dylan's been my co-owner or whatever, founder, however you want to put it. He's been running it for a couple of years, and we've been building it up for the last 2 years. And so you guys can go check us out at THPN and check out all the 100+ great shows that we have on there. And as we keep kind of growing through there, I'm just doing a little side project with Flames show too as well. So if you guys want to check that out, it's just at Flamescast on Twitter and Instagram, and go live on Mondays and Thursdays. And I'm pretty lazy, so I go live and then I upload it on audio, and that's about it.
Yes. For those who aren't on the YouTube site, it's KMan534 if you did not know.
Oh, thank you.
If you're not on the YouTube side of things, but yes, or hockeypodcastnetwork.com. I will say they do have Terry Ryan has his own show from Shoresy. If you're a Shoresy fan, he has his own show in the network, so definitely got to plug that too. Just because Terry Ryan is an absolute beauty. But if you want to keep it with me, everything that I'm doing with the Carolina Hurricanes, obviously One True Zach on X, podcast is L_Hurricanes. I got a link to my bio where you can find all of my articles talking about the Carolina Hurricanes, the Chicago Wolves, or just go to the hockeywriters.com. You'll find me over there. You also can find my other podcast, The Surgecast, all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Just look up The Surgecast. For this show, Locked on Hurricanes on all podcast platforms. Leave a 5-star rating and review because I might read it on the show. On the YouTube side of things, Locked on Hurricanes, same thing, but make sure to hit subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the like button. Let me know if you like the show as well. Give me your takeaway and your favorite Cane from the game in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Like I said, give me your takeaway, favorite Hurricane in the comment section below. Share the podcast with other Caniacs who become everydayers just like you. because we want to keep growing the show. We are over 1,000 subscribers. Let's keep this ball rolling. And before we head out here, guys, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of the day. For your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or if you listen to podcasts. Once again, big thank you to my guest, Kyle. Always awesome to talk to him. Hope everyone enjoys their Friday after a Canes win on a Friday. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Until next time, as always, let's go Canes.